everybody. Welcome back to this random journey. Today is day 27 of our book a week challenge, and I am still reading in Atomic Habits by James Clear. I read chapters 17 and 18 today, and so that's what we're going to be covering in this video. In chapter 17, the title was How an Accountability Partner Can Change Everything. He had a story about a guy named Roger Fisher, and this gentleman had an idea for the presidential launch codes back whenever nuclear war was a brand new kind of concept or thing, and all these launch codes were being presented. He said that, a president shouldn't have so much power that he can just push a button and not really have any effect on himself, but can kill, thousands upon thousands of people. And so he launched this idea that in order for the president to be able to press the launch code button, that code would be given to another person, and that they would carry around I believe it was a meat cleaver. And if the president wanted to get to the launch codes, he would have to kill the other person before he could enter in the launch codes and push the button. And the people that he proposed this idea to said, well, he may never push or want to utilize the launch codes if he has to actually murder someone. And he said that's kind of the point, is it's an accountability partner. The only reason you would ever use the code is if it was an extreme emergency, and then you would know the significance and the weight of the situation in that case. So basically, we're talking about the fourth law, and this was the last chapter covering the fourth law. But they said this is going to be the inverse, the opposite of what the fourth law states. So make it satisfying is the fourth law. So we're going to make it immediately unsatisfying is the concept in this chapter. The next kind of chunk of this chapter is talking about the habit contract and how to form a verbal or a written agreement in which you state your commitment to a particular habit, and then what that punishment will be if you do not stick to whatever that habit, the thing you're trying to do is going to be. And then you have people that hold you accountable that also see this piece of paper. And there was an example, a very elaborate example, so I'm actually going to be reading directly from the book because it was just way too much to try to put down in my notes. There was a gentleman named Brian Harris, and I'm going to be looking down a lot because I'm going to be reading directly from this book. Brian Harris was an entrepreneur from Nashville, Tennessee, and he was the first person that James actually had seen use this and put it into action. So he decided that he wanted to instill a habit. I'm trying to paraphrase a little bit in here because it's going to be super lengthy. So basically he said Brian's number one objective for Q1 of 2017 is to start eating correctly again so he feels better, looks better, and is able to hit his long-term goal of 200 pounds at 10% body fat. So this is a habit he wanted to instill because he had a son. And so he decided, I'm going to do this, but I need some accountability partners, otherwise I am not going to achieve my goal. And so below that statement, below the statement I just read to you, Harris laid out a roadmap for achieving his ideal outcome. So he had different phases. He had 3 different phases altogether. Phase 1 was get back to a strict low-carb diet in Q1. Phase 2 was start a strict micronutrient tracking program in Q2. Phase 3 was refine and maintain the details of his diet and workout program in Q3. Finally, he wrote out each of the daily habits that would get him to his goal. For example, write down all food that he consumed each day and weigh himself each day. And then he listed the punishment if he failed. If Brian does not do these 2 items, then the following consequences will be enforced. He will have to dress up each work day and each Sunday morning for the rest of the quarter. Dress up is defined as not wearing jeans, t-shirts, hoodies, or shorts. He will also give Joey, which is his trainer, $200 to use as he sees fit if he misses 1 day of logging food. So at the bottom of the page, Harris and his wife and his trainer all signed it. And he said he didn't think that it was that important to actually sign the document. But Harris said that it was extremely important that when he did not have everyone sign the paper, that he was less likely to follow through. It makes it more official. So 3 months later, after hitting his target for quarter 1, Harris upgraded his goals. The consequences escalated too. If he missed his carbohydrate and protein targets, he had to pay his trainer $100. And if he failed to weigh himself, he had to give his wife $500 to use as she saw fit. Perhaps most painfully, if he forgot to run sprints, he had to dress up for work every day and wear an Alabama hat the rest of the quarter, the bitter rival of his beloved Auburn team, I believe is how it's said. The strategy worked, with his wife and his trainer acting as accountability partners, and with the habit contract clarifying exactly what to do each day, Harris lost the weight. So you can see that is one method that could really benefit a lot of people to stay accountable to themselves, and not only to themselves, but to other people. I know that this YouTube channel is that for me, at least in a sense or in one area. If I say that I'm going to try to do something, or I'm challenging myself to do something, and then I'm videoing myself doing it, and knowing that I have several people who faithfully watch my channel, it holds me accountable. It makes me feel like I have to do whatever I'm doing, so that I'm not doing what I said I'm not doing what I said I was going to do, if that makes sense. So yes, YouTube is kind of my accountability partner. My husband, I'll tell him things and he kind of holds me accountable as well. I think it's really important to have that kind of person in your life. Another story that was given was of a gentleman who set up text alerts to hold himself accountable. And I loved this idea and thought, well, I probably could implement something similar to this if I needed to hold myself accountable in a higher regard. Especially for what he's implementing it for. You guys know I want to wake up earlier. Well, his auto message that would automatically go up on his Twitter, which I'm pretty sure you could schedule for Facebook or whatever platform you like to use. The auto message said, "It's 6:10 a.m. and I am not up because I am lazy. Reply to this for $5 via PayPal, limit 5, assuming my alarm didn't malfunction." So his goal was to be up at 5:55, and then he would go in and turn the message off, delete the message, or what have you, reschedule it for the next morning at the same time or something like that. So basically, if he didn't get up on time and he slept past 6:10, the message would automatically upload to his platform, and he would owe $25 to someone, to 5 different people, because he overslept. I thought that was a really great idea. Moving on to chapter 18, the title was The Truth About Talent When Genes Matter and When They Don't. Whenever I was trying to talk to my husband about this, he joked and he was like, genes, and he held, grabbed hold of his pants. I said, that's not what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. He's being silly. The story of Michael Phelps and Hucham El-Guerrer. I probably botched his name, but basically they're both Olympians. One, Michael Phelps, very well known, is a swimmer. He's gotten many medals. The other one is a long distance runner, and it talked about how their genes have made them good in their area of expertise. So Michael Phelps is very long. He has ironically, they both have the same kind of length of legs, but their torsos are different and their size as far as height is different. The other gentleman is only 5 foot something, and Michael Phelps was 6 foot something. And so he was talking about if you tried to flip flop them, Michael Phelps would not do well in the running, and the other gentleman would not do well in swimming. And he talked about the genes actually play a pretty big role in that kind of thing that you're trying to become successful in. The secret to maximizing your odds of success is to choose the right field of competition. So he's talking about making sure that you're choosing the right thing to pursue after, and that not everything that you want to pursue after should be something that you try to attain to pursue after, or know ahead of time that I'm not going to be able to get to the level of everyone else in this particular field. If you are not designed, if your body's not designed to be able to do that. It talked about how genes play a role, which is true for your not only your physical but for your mental as well. And he gave an example of, that he is smart and he is very smart, and he's able to talk about habits, and he's able to talk about that kind of stuff. But if somebody started talking about, I don't know, working on cars, or who the best football player is, or whatever the case may be, he is not knowledgeable in that area, and so he would not be considered smart in that area. And so he said that was one simple example. Like me, I like to cook food and stuff, and so I can talk about food. I enjoy food. But I cannot talk about, how to fix a car or how to work on a lawnmower and that kind of stuff. That would be more my husband's expertise. Not saying I could not gain knowledge in that area, just saying that if somebody randomly started talking to me about it, I ain't going to know what to talk to them about and how to communicate with that particular person. Genes do not determine your destiny. They determine your areas of opportunity. So things that you are knowledgeable about, things that you are predestined and have the genes for, are going to give you more opportunities in that area. It's not to say that you cannot do things in other areas, but you would be better off to look for the things that you are more geared towards, to be able to have better opportunities, to make it easier on yourself. Because the habits that you're trying to make, remember, we're going to want to make them easy. And if it's something you're already kind of predestined or built for in your mind or in your physical person, it's going to make it easier to build those habits. It says another section of this chapter is how your personality influences your habits. So it talked about our behaviors are greatly impacted by our genes, and genes help us create our personalities. And then he talked about how there's 5 big, or it's called the Big 5 personalities. So he has the first Big 5 personality is openness to experience. And he said, so it would be likened to curious and inventive to cautious and consistent. So it would be like the two opposites. The second one of the Big 5s is, now this word is very hard for me, so I'm going to try my best not to botch it. Conciseness. Basically, it's organized and efficient to easygoing and spontaneous. Number 3 was extroversion, which means outgoing and energetic, to solitary and reserved, and we know it as extrovert and introvert. 4 is agreeableness, friendly and compassionate to challenging and detached. And then 5, and the 5th and final one is neuroticism, which is anxious and sensitive to confident, calm, and stable. So those was the Big 5 personalities that you can have. And they talked about how all those personalities can really influence our habits, and how they need to go into play, us trying to figure out which goals to try to attain or to reach for. Moving on to the next section is how to find a game where the odds are in your favor. So it says explore, exploit, trade-off. You want to do an 80-20. So basically, this concept of explore, exploit, trade-off, 80% you want to be exploiting. You want to be doing or trying to see if this thing is working for you, but you never want to give up the 20% of exploring or looking for other things that might be something you want to try to do or attain. And so he was talking about how it's important to finding the things that we're good at and the things that we should be pursuing after. He asks a few questions to help us kind of figure out what goals we should go after. And those are, what feels like fun to me but work to others? So ask yourself, what feels like fun to me but work to others? So for instance, my youngest son, Curtis, he likes to do hard labor. He likes to dig. He likes to mow grass. He likes to sweep. He likes to mop. Always has. Since he was a teeny tiny kid, for Christmas one year, he asked for a play set that was a broom and a mop and a dustpan. That is how he is programmed. He looks at that as that is fun. A lot of kids would say that is not fun. They do not like doing chores. Curtis, on the other hand, will voluntarily do chores all day long. And he loves it, and I love that he loves it. But that's an example of that question. What makes me lose track of time? And I know for me, I lose track of time when I'm doing a lot of different things, such as cooking. I really enjoy cooking. Whenever I am doing like a craft or a craft project, I lose myself in projects all the time. And then I've noticed the other day, we went on that trip with the kids on Sunday, and we went hiking and all that. That was so fun. It was on the way home, I was editing the video that I posted, and I didn't realize that we were home because I literally felt like it had only been 5 minutes of me editing. I super enjoy editing videos, apparently, because I lost all track of time whenever I was doing that. So that's an example of that question. What makes me lose track of time? The next question was, where do I get greater returns than the average person? And I was trying to rack my brain and think of an example to give you guys, but I struggled with this question for myself anyways, and maybe you had one come to your mind immediately. But where do I get greater returns? Where do I find that greater than the average person? And so I'm going to have to work on that one in myself, but maybe you have that answer for yourself. Then the next one was, what comes naturally to me? And I immediately thought, well, I naturally can make up recipes, and that just naturally flows out of me. I can just dump things in and make a meal, and it doesn't stress me out. I enjoy it. So that comes naturally to me personally. And then it talked about, if you can't find, so if you answer all those questions and you can't find a game where the odds are stacked in your favor, create one. And so he gave an example, and I forgot to write it down, of what it would look like to stack everything in your favor and make your genes work for you. And I wish I would have wrote it down because my brain is completely blank in that area at the moment. Okay, moving on to the next section, and the final section of chapter 18 is how to get the most out of your genes. And this is where my notes kind of got a little crazy, so forgive me if I don't make sense. It says genes tell us what to work hard on. So your genes are going to say, okay, you're good at this. This is something that you should pursue. You need to work hard on this thing. And so that's the things that you should work really hard towards. It says people get so caught up in the fact that they have limits that they rarely exert the effort required to get close to them. And I thought that was so true. people do get caught up in the fact that there is a limit to, you know, how far they can go with something. And so instead of trying to get to that limit, wherever that limit might be, they just don't even try to pursue it at all, because they know maybe I'm not going to be as good as, you know, Joe Smo over here. So I don't even want to try. He talked about 25%. A lot of people will maybe not be the top expert or the top performer in an area. That doesn't mean they should not pursue it at all. They should pursue it if that's what they feel like they really enjoy. If it's something they are good at, you might only be the top 25%, but still the top 25% is very significant and a very great place to try to attain to get to. So I thought that was kind of a neat thought. And then it says to pick behaviors that align with your personality and skills. Work hard on things that come easy. So guys, that is chapter 17 and chapter 18 of Atomic Habits by James Clear. I hope you guys are liking this A Book a Week series. If you are, make sure to give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe for future videos. We're doing daily vlogs. If you guys wouldn't mind sharing this video or any of my other videos that you have enjoyed up to this point, that would help me out so much. I thank you for coming today, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.